Hi, I'm LDS and Medium, and thank you so much for tuning in today. I want to try to bring religion and spirituality closer together, and this is what this pod is all about. I will talk about my own thoughts and feelings as I am both LDS and have spiritual gifts, something that I've had my whole life, but I always thought that it was hard to combine these gifts with my religion. This has torn me into two directions, and I have talked to many people who feel the same way. I can't choose not to have my spiritual gifts, but I can choose how I use them. And I always want to use them for good and to help others. I believe my heavenly parents gave them to me for a reason. So, this is me. Join my quest for knowledge. My weekend with my aunt. So this past weekend, my youngest son was spending time with his dad, and the two older wanted a weekend without mom. So I went to my aunt's house for a sleepover. I went there Friday night after work and went home Sunday after church online meeting with her ward. My aunt is 10 years older than me, and we both went through a divorce last year. So we have talked during the year, and even though she doesn't live more than 45 minutes away, we rarely get a chance to see each other. But this weekend was all about that single girl's weekend. We talked a lot during the weekend, and long into the night. We talked about everything from the hurt of losing someone you love and the pain of getting through divorces, and trying to get the life back together. And we have laughed till our cheeks hurt. We have cried and been through all the emotions in between. Then Sunday we started to talk. And we started to talk about my uncle. I have 2 aunts and 2 uncles on my father's side. And we started to talk about the past. I told her about the pod I made, I Am a Child of God, and how I shared some of my very personal experiences that I had growing up. And I told her that I never talked about my uncle. So growing up, I had these 2 amazing uncles. One who was blonde, tall, and beautiful. Everyone fell in love with him. He was my hero and my knight in shining armor when I grew up. He had a gorgeous smile and piercing blue eyes, and girls fell in love with him because he had this ability to focus energy. And when he focused it on you, it made you feel like you were the center of his world, until he placed his focus elsewhere. My other uncle was a year younger. He had brown hair and brown eyes, and was more like an artistic soul. He was 5 years older than me, and I would follow both of them around whenever I could. My younger uncle used to play the piano and write music and sing. And maybe that's why I love men singing and playing the piano so much, because I would sit quietly by the piano and listen to him play and sing for me for hours. Anyway, you need to know that I love both my uncles very much. One was my hero, beautiful and strong, and one was softer, with a heart of music and dreams. My younger uncle was diagnosed with leukemia, a severe sort, and he beat it once, but it came back and he passed away at the age of 20. We started to talk about that day, and I told my aunt that at the time I knew he was ill and that my father was at the hospital to say goodbye. And I was sitting at the kitchen table in the house where I grew up. Mom was cooking and was rustling around in the kitchen, and I was sitting there when all of a sudden I had this sensation that the birds were singing so loud. And I looked out the window, and the sky was so blue and all colors seemed so strong. And I just knew that at that moment, my uncle's soul had left his body. So I looked at my mom and said, "You know what? He died now." Mom stopped and looked at me and said not to worry. But I knew in my heart that he had gone on. 7 minutes later, the phone rang. It was my dad, and he told my mom that his youngest brother had passed 7 minutes earlier. I will never forget that look in my mother's eyes when she turned around and looked at me. I saw confusion in her eyes and maybe a little bit of fear. But I knew what I had felt, so I told my aunt the story, and she looks at me funny. She said, "I need to tell you something my mom told me not so long ago." My mom told me that her sister's husband at the time of the passing said that he knew that my brother had died because all of a sudden the birds started to sing really loud. When she said that, I felt chills running through all of me as a confirmation. Both of us had experienced that the birds had started singing much louder at the exact time of my uncle's death. We had never talked about this before, but now was the time for us to share our stories with each other, and I asked for her permission to share this with you. Another funny thing that happened was that I had the schedule with what to release on the pod. My sister is organized, but I have been feeling sad and out of it, and I didn't have the energy to do the episode that I was supposed to do. So my sister said, I will do one you already have recorded and release that. It just happened to be the episode of 1 Nephi chapter 4. My aunt had this book that she was talking about, so I asked if I could see it. She started to look for it, and in the process she found her diary. She said, I have something to share with you, and she opened up her diary and shared her thoughts on a specific day that she had got inspiration from above regarding some questions she had had in her heart. And the answer came to her while she was reading 1 Nephi chapter 4. I just looked at her like she was kidding. I could barely keep quiet and let her finish, and after she was done, I took my phone and I told her that the last thing we released on the pod was 1 Nephi chapter 4. She was as surprised as me, and we listened to it together, both with tears running down our cheeks. So many things just came together. Me feeling low, my sister changing the schedule and releasing something that wasn't supposed to go out for another 2 weeks, me asking for the book which led to finding the diary, and the sharing of her experience reading 1 Nephi chapter 4. Somehow the Lord has his fingers into everything, and each little thing aside didn't seem so big. Put together, I realized my free will isn't so free since he seemed to orchestrate it however he wants to anyway. Joke aside, it showed me that everything happens for a purpose, and that we are in this life together, and we all affect and influence each other. My aunt said that she really wants to listen to the pod, so I showed her where to find it, and there were so many things that could have gone differently, but in the end, we had a really strong spiritual experience together, and we got to see how the Lord made everything come together perfectly. I know that my divorce happened for my highest good. I know that this pod is His way to help me understand my gifts and share them. It is a way for me to read the Book of Mormon and get inspiration to me, to open up my spiritual eyes to greater knowledge. And even though I have no idea where I will end up, I have complete faith that if I listen to Him, it will be where He wants me to be. So until next time, be the light, share the light, spread the light, shine. This is my journey. Thank you so much for keeping me company today. Please download, like, share, and subscribe, and help spread the light and spread the word to expand our community. Let's bring more love, peace, and unity to this world. Take care of yourself and your loved ones. Always be grateful, kind, and loving. Be brave and remember to step out of your comfort zone and smile. If you support us on Patreon, you will get access to our meditations and extra materials so you can download them as MP3. Also, we now have a Facebook group, which you can access from our Facebook community. Please answer the questions as you apply to participate. It will be a safe haven where we can keep discussing religion and spirituality, our spiritual gifts, and self-development. Remember, one person can make a difference, but together we can change the world.